I'm the Deputy Director for the Water Availability Division, and the Water Availability Division is where we do water rights permitting and water master enforcement activities for the TCEQ. A couple of logistics for the meeting today. What we're going to do is we have several presentations from different staff within our program for today, and we're going to stop and give y'all a little bit of time to ask questions after each presentation. You should be able to use the raise your hand device that just kind of helps us call on people and keep us from talking over one another, which is so easy to do in this environment. And then at the very end, we'll have opportunity for like a final Q&A. So if a question has come up while you've been listening to the rest of the presentations, you'll have another opportunity to ask questions then. So with that, I'll kind of launch into a welcome. I appreciate y'all joining us for Water Rights Advisory Work Group. We are still working in a hybrid environment where we're mostly remote. But for those of y'all who've been at some of the conferences and things that go on, y'all have seen myself and several of my staff there. And we're back attending those in person. And we've met with a couple people in person. We find that some people, depending on the phase of the project and what all they want to discuss with the project, they find that an in-person meeting is better for that type of thing. So we've met with some people in person, and we are poised and ready to do that and encourage you if you want an in-person meeting with us to come in and meet with us. If you prefer this particular environment that we're in or your own platforms for virtual meetings, we do a whole lot of those as well. We're just continue to be happy to meet with y'all on in the way that works best for you and your projects. And so, at any time, if y'all need anything, reach out and let us know, and we'll be happy to help you. Jason, can you tell me who is up first on our agenda? I think it's John Cody. We've got an update to our surface water rights viewer. It looks different. There's a lot of the same content there. There's a little bit of expanded content and room for more expanded content, but we'd asked him to do a demo of it since it does have a completely different look. And I think he's up next on the agenda. So without too much ado, because or too much more of your time, I want to hand it off to him so that he can get started and we can keep our meeting real succinct. Go ahead, John Cody.
I am muted. Okay, now I'm unmuted. So I'm going to show y'all the version 2.0 of the Texas Water Rights Viewer, and you can access that by going to the TCEQ main website and going to Water, Surface Water Rights and Availability, and then right here there's a link for that. So the big new things with the Texas Water Rights Viewer is that it is now a native web application and no longer a map document stored in ArcGIS. So it's a lot easier to use. Oh, yeah.
John Cody, you're not sharing your screen with anyone.
Oh, am I not? Well, that's good to know. One second, sorry. One more moment. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm using multiple devices, so I forgot to click on share my screen. Okay, so can everybody see my screen now? I assume so.
No.
No.
It's not visible yet.
Okay, you're still gonna wait. Okay, that's fine. How about now?
Not yet.
Now?
We don't have it yet. While John Cody's poking around, I will provide him a little cover here.
Thanks, Kim.
John Cody is great at this type of stuff. This is really unusual for him. And we definitely put him on the spot by asking him to join us in the meeting today and present. Okay, we do have some people who can see your screen.
Okay, how about now? Because right now I'm on the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality website, Office of Water. And then I'll follow that over to the Surface Water Rights and Availability page, where you could find the link to the TCEQ Water Rights Viewer, and that's right here.
Okay, so I think John Cody, probably some people can see it and some people can't. I'm not really sure why that is. And it may depend on perhaps how they've joined us for the meeting today. Because it looks like perhaps, oh, I'm not sure. Would you like one of us to pull it up and share the screen, and then you can direct us?
Sure, give me one more second. Let me try this real quick.
Okay.
How about now? Can everybody see my screen?
Nah.
Okay, well, we could walk you through it, Kim, if you want to share your screen, if no one's able to see my screen.
Oh, we can see it.
Y'all can now. Good, good. Okay.
I'm so relieved I don't have to try to share mine and follow your direction.
That would have made it a little bit more fun, right? So right now we're already at the Texas Water Rights Viewer. You can find that on the Surface Water Rights TCEQ website, and there's a link at the top for that. And the big new things is a native web app, and we can now query very easily by water right number or owner. And the example I'm going to show you now is also available in the user guide, which is found right at the top of the page where it says user guide. You can click on that. It'll open up a link in a new tab, and it has all the details on what you need to know. So on this, we're going to search for Certificate of Adjudication 1169 in the query feature. Sometimes when you type in a number, you will not see it right here. You'll need to hit search more and then select it when that does happen. Once you hit apply, what it will do is save those search results as a independent table that you could also export. But it will zoom you in, and the same features that were previously available on the Texas Water Rights Viewer, such as the water rights document, those are still available. The water right owner information is also available as well, and same with the water use data. All right there. And you could also export all of the data by opening up the attribute table here at the bottom. You'll see a little rectangle with a triangle. You'll click that. By default, it'll have it filtered by what is visible in your current map. You can click that to show everything. And then on options, export to CSV. And you can do that for the all water rights layer and the water rights as single points. And the same with the water right owner and the water use data. So like I said, the previous features that were available, such as the final determination watersheds, those are available. The gauges for the environmental flows, those are still available as well. And another new feature is the measure tool. It allows you to pick a point and get 6 or the coordinates to 6 decimal places for location on the map, which is really helpful. So you can just find the spot, drop it, and it gives you those lat longs that you could copy out. Another feature is you could print a web map as well. And you'll just click on print on the area you want to print, and it'll create a PDF for you. And that is all I had to show y'all today, because it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy to use. I'm sure y'all might have some questions, but we could wait till the end for those. Or if you do have any questions after the meeting, you could always email Kathy Alexander.
If anyone has any questions, go ahead and raise their hand, or they can use the chat function. Yes, go ahead. Is it Eugene?
Eugene, I think.
Okay, Eugene, go ahead.
I think you might have to unmute him, Jason.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry. So would this water right viewer upload or automatically upload any new water right when you have one?
Once a new water right is issued, that should appear in the water rights viewer within a week of it being issued. But yes, we should have those updated pretty frequently. So for the points themselves, you'll see within a week of the water right being issued. The water use data is updated on an annual basis, and the water right ownership data is updated at the beginning of the month, once a month.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions at this time? I know we've got some people that have called in. If you have a question and you've called in, you can press star and 6 to unmute yourself and ask a question. Okay, I'm not seeing any at this time. So next up, we've got Kathy Alexander, who's going to talk about water availability model updates.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's really good to see you all joining us today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the water availability model updates. So House Bill 723 of the 86th legislature required TCEQ to obtain or develop updated models for the Brazos, Red, Neches, and Rio Grande basins, and appropriated some funding to do that. We've contracted that work out, and the final deliverables were received by August 31st, which is the end of the fiscal year. So all of our deliverables were received on schedule. I want to talk a little bit about what might be the most efficient and effective way to get all that information out to y'all, because we want to make it available in as streamlined a manner as we can. So we will be posting that information to the web page, but just note that many of these deliverables, the file size is significant. And so if any of y'all have any thoughts about what you might like to see out there, please feel free to drop me an email, kathy.alexander@tcq.texas.gov. The other piece of that is as part of those final deliverable packages, the consultants updated the WAMs to include the new stream flow and evaporation information. And so one of the things that TCEQ staff is currently working on is to add into those updated models applications that were granted between the time the contracts were let and the final deliverables. So in a couple of basins, for example, the Brazos, there's a number of permits that we need to add in. to those models before we post them to the website. But we're working to get that done as quickly as we can. And I think that's all I have. If anybody has any questions. Jason, you're muted.
Yep, that would help. If anybody has any questions at this time, they can raise their hand or use the meeting chat. So here's one from the chat. Which basins were updated again?
Yes, Sarah, those were the Brazos, Neches, Red, and Rio Grande basins.
Eugene again?
Yes. Hey, Cassie, so what are or what are the updates for those basins? I mean, is that the extended hydrology or?
The basins were updated to extend the hydrology.
Okay.
Through 2018. And there may have been some other updates. As part of the project, we had asked the consultants to go back in and look at the existing period of record and identify any discrepancies that they thought ought to be corrected. So there was some of that. There was some newer information. We looked at the existing gauges, any new gauges or any new data that was available today that may not have been available at the time we did the original update. So all of that information is detailed pretty explicitly in the reports for each basin. And we'll definitely be posting that the data part is pretty significant because it's not just the actual natural flows, the final natural flow workbooks, but it's all the supporting information as well.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions at this time? All right, thank you, Kathy, for that.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Ruth Takeda with a legal update. Ruth?
Thank you, Jason. And I will just be brief. I have one item to update y'all on, and that is another OLS retirement. The Office of Legal Services here at the agency saw Robert Martinez leave our agency at the end of last month. He had been with the agency for 31 years and had served as director with the change of title to deputy director recently for the past 15 years. So he had an extensive historical legal knowledge of the entire agency. Started out as a staff attorney, moved up to a senior attorney, and ended up directing the division. So we will miss him. Guy Henry is currently acting in Robert's role, and that's the update I have for you. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, please let me know. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Ruth. Does anybody have any questions for Ruth? All right, we will move on to a permitting update from Brooke McGregor. Brooke?
All right, thanks, Jason. Let me get my screen here. Okay. This is a bit of an update from what I presented last time, so we'll just go through it here and talk about what we've been up to in the permitting and availability section. So one of the things that we focused on this last fiscal year was the administratively complete process. So we have a target process time of about 90 days. For this fiscal year, we received 86 applications, and of those 86, 70 of them have been complete. We got 16 right at the end there in August. So we're still working on a lot of those. But of those that we've completed, 77% have been processed within 99 days. For House bill applications, We received 11 this fiscal year. All 11 of those have been completed and 100% were processed in our target time frame of 90 days. Fast track applications, applications that don't require substantial modeling. We received 34 this fiscal year, but you can see that we have 74 that have been completed. We had quite a few that we received before the fiscal year as well. And some of those had some more significant timeframes associated with those. So the 64 processed within 300 days is how long it, what the metrics were for us to complete those 74. But we anticipate this number looking a lot better moving forward as we've kind of cleared out the backlog of some of those older fast track applications. General permitting update. As of the 13th, we have 126 pending applications. That came down this year. We started out at 169 to start off the fiscal year, and 19 of those that we have pending with us have hearing requests currently. Just a little breakdown of how the ones that we completed shook out: 100 withdrawn, 11 returned, 100 issued, 11 withdrawn, and 18 returned. And starting January 1st, we will start requiring pre-application meetings. So we will be updating our application and instructions to reflect those changes. We found that the pre-apps are kind of a win-win. It helps the application come in and gives us an opportunity to give input and move it through that pre-application phase of things, or that administratively complete phase of things more quickly. Sort of overall, what the metrics look like for the year: received versus processed. You can see, like I was mentioning, in August, we received quite a few that kind of spiked there at the end. And then overall, what the number of water rights that are pending with us have looked like going back to November of 2014. We've made good progress in reducing the backlog and anticipate doing more of the same. And this is sort of a breakout of what's currently pending with us, broken out by technical review group. We've done a good job working on the others, and we've got a few diversion point moves that we're working on. And so anyway, it's just sort of a breakdown of what we have pending and what technical review groups those are in. And then just some quick staff updates. Leslie Patterson joined us September 1st as the resource protection team leader. She previously worked on the resource protection team, so we're very happy to have her joining us. And we have a few vacancies that we're working on filling: an aquatic scientist on the resource protection team, and a few of our hydrologists on the surface water and availability team. And there's my contact information. If y'all have any questions or concerns or anything past this meeting, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to assist you with whatever you need.
All right, thank you, Brooke. Does anyone have any questions for Brooke at this time? So we do have one in the chat. How many new diversion applications in the Brazos River Basin, and are there any major applications in the Brazos Basin?
So you can go out to our webpage to see the full list of applications sorted by basin that we have pending in-house. I don't know quite off the top of my head exactly how many of them are diversion point moves in the Brazos. I can take a look at that and get back pretty quickly.
Hey, Jason, this is Kim. If I can break in, I'll show my screen and show everybody how to navigate to that information. We're in the middle of an update with it right now.
Sure,
and it looks like in the chat, John Cody posted the link, which is extremely helpful. He's pretty quick about doing stuff like that for us. I don't know why it wants to open my email page every time. So if you come to our main web page and go to water, you're clicking in surface water availability. And then you are scrolling down to pending water right applications. And if you scroll down right here, view pending water right applications, we've got them broken out by basin, and you'll see like Brazos is listed here, what's there in the Brazos. Brazos is an area where we do have a lot pending. We eventually are gonna, I think, Brooke, correct me if I'm wrong, but merge these two sections right here into one page. So if you bookmark the individual pages, you might have to come back to this screen and go back into them once we have an update, but that's where you can find pending water right applications. You have anything else, Brooke?
Nope, that was it. I'm glad we had a chance to show the pending page. That's a good resource.
Jason, you have to unmute.
Yep. Does anyone else out there have any questions at this time? All right, I'm not seeing any, and of course we'll always have a question answer at the very end too. So next up is Joe Nikosha with a, oh wait, well here's one real quick. Will PDF documents be available for the applications after the pages merge?
Yes, we're planning on making all materials associated with pending water right applications available. We're sort of having a little bit of a transition from combining those two pages together, and then just making sure that some of our resources that weren't originally electronic when we were using paper files when we were still in the office, we've got to work to make those. But as soon as all that's ready, as it becomes available, I'm going to be updating the web page with all of that information. And the idea is there's several different columns. The one that has the hyperlink that has a PDF available to download will also represent the phase of our process that it's in.
All right, thank you, Brooke. We'll move on to Joe Nikosha, who's going to give us an update on the change of ownership. Joe?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be able to update you on the ownership changes and water use reports today. So I'll start with ownership changes. In March, our program began tracking processing timeframes and using some lean management techniques to reduce those timeframes. At that time in March, our average was 127 days, and 127 days, and now we're at about 47 days is our total average. I think these averages are contributed to both our hardworking staff and the utilization of the electronic submittals and the payments electronically through our ePay site. The second water use, the second thing I want to talk about is the water use reports. We began accepting electronic submissions for the 2020 water use reports this year, and we had a really good response. The total of the water use reports that were submitted, the total response was 43%, thereabouts, that were submitted electronically. And we had a pretty good variability of users from the individuals all the way up to City of Houston and large users. So it was a good showing of how versatile the system was, and we really expect this next year to be an even greater adoption by all users that get water use reports. And as it seems to be a best practice and just easy to get everything submitted. I'll send Jason my links and comments for all of those sites I mentioned, the change of ownership site and forms, the electronic forms, the water use report SUNS page, that's our reporting page and its instructions, and also the ePay site. So we'll be able to see, and we'll send that out to y'all and be able to get all the information right back to you. And if there are any questions, just let me know.
All right, thank you, Joe. Does anyone have any questions out there for Joe at this time? All right, thank you, Joe. We'll move on to Pepe Davila, who's going to give us a Water Master update. Pepe?
Yes, thank you, Jason. I'm gonna put my presentation out there. Let me see. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Jose Pepe Davila. I'm the Water Master Section Manager. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share an update on our Water Master operations. I'd like to begin my presentation by saying that we continue to operate under COVID-19 protocols and guidelines established by the agency, like Kim mentioned, in a hybrid mode up to this point. And we continue to coordinate public access to physical water master records, and as well as opening for scheduled small in-person meetings around the section. Water master operations continued through the summer to be continue to be essential for the agency and the public. Our deputies continue to use protective gear, and they minimize contact with the public when possible. We have witnessed a higher level of electronic and virtual communication and interaction with our customers and the public. We continue to encourage our users to submit pump operation reports, temporary permit applications, and core data forms in an electronic format. And for the second consecutive fiscal year, the use of video calls resulted in a highly effective manner to conduct internal and external agency business in our section. For example, at the closing of fiscal year 2021, we conducted 2 Water Master evaluation meetings, 4 Water Master Advisory Committee meetings, multiple meetings with water right holders. We conducted job interviews, and we coordinated the work of summer interns, all this virtually. We will continue to maximize our electronic resources and tools where it's permitted and reasonable. So moving on to the next slide. Like I said before, all 4 Water Master, we had our 4 Water Master Advisory Committee meetings in July, and all 4 Water Master budgets were recommended for approval. And they were in commission agenda on September 8th, and all items were approved unanimously by the commissioners. At the same time, the commissioners approved the renewal of the Water Master Advisory Committees for 1 more year. And also, based on the results at the conclusion of the Water Master Basin evaluation process, the Executive Director recommended for the commissioners not to create a new Water Master program for the Cypress Creek and Sulphur River basins. The commissioners took no action on this item. My next slide shows precipitation for the last 30 days in the state. As you all can see, September has been a very wet month for some areas of the state. Some areas have not been that wet, but as we all know, earlier this week we had all the massive precipitation up to 10 inches brought by the Tropical Storm Nicholas to the Gulf Coast counties. And next I have our drought map as of September 14, which resembles the same areas of the state where correlated with precipitation where we have no drought or abnormally dry conditions. And I want to thank hydrologist Jenny Torres from the hydro team for the map. And now my next slide, I will talk about our program updates. In general, our performance measurements and legislative budget board require numbers. At the closing of fiscal year 2021, the Water Master programs delivered an impressive 99.5% or 38,387 water rights citing investigations out of the 38,600 required. And they also addressed 70 surface water right complaints and completed approximately over 50 temporary permits. This is all outstanding given the special circumstances created by the pandemic and multiple vacancies across the section. Individual updates in each program. Rio Grande Water Master has filled 3 vacancies since the last meeting we had. We now have a administrative assistant in Harlingen and also a Water Master deputy in Harlingen, one in Laredo and one in Eagle Pass. They still have to fill 1 more vacancy in Harlingen for Water Master deputy. The reservoir system for the Rio Grande, as of September 4, 2021, the U.S. combined ownership at Amistad Falcon was at 38.92% of the normal conservation capacity, impounding 1.3 million acre feet. Mexico has approximately 12% of the normal conservation capacity, impounding approximately 300,000 acre feet. The lower Rio Grande Valley continued to get rainfall during the summer. Our normal regular peak demand didn't materialize, but we expect some winter irrigation starting early winter, in the early winter months. The upper Rio Grande has yet to receive rainfall where we can that can be converted to significant inflows into the system. At the closing of the 1944 water treaty cycle, number 35, in October 2020, the TCEQ delegation continued to meet with Mexican government officials and members of the IBWC as part of a technical work group tasked with developing a water availability model that recreates Mexican water delivery scenarios. The South Texas Water Master Program is in process of filling 1 deputy vacancy in the Corpus Christi area. They continue to address surface water complaints, process multiple temporary permits concentrated in oil and gas operations, and routine inspections as well. Curtailment pumping schedule has been issued in the upper Guadalupe earlier this week. Water right holders in the area follow their special conditions in their permits and their schedules accordingly under the supervision of the South Texas Water Master and her staff. Concho Water Master rainfall continued through the summer, slowing diversions and irrigation, making them minimal. For the most part, reservoirs gained significant storage due to that. The deputies continue to conduct inspections every week. Brazos Water Master Program is in the process of filling 1 vacancy in DFW or Stephenville. Irrigation continued to be minimal, suppressed by the rainfall. At some point, BRA's reservoir system was at 98.6% as of September 8th. And the deputies they continue to conduct inspections every week as normal. And that is all I have. That is my contact information. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them now or at the end of the meeting.
All right, thank you, Pepe. Does anybody, well, this is the last item on our agenda for presentations. So at this time, we'll open it up for questions to anybody that you've seen here, or if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask us. I will remind everybody that we're going to post the presentations that you've seen here on our Water Rights Advisory Work Group webpage, as well as a recording of this particular meeting. As soon as we can get it uploaded, we'll get that up there and posted. So does anybody have any questions at this time? Yes, we have one from Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron.
Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Kathy, you mentioned, I guess, the final reports for, the updated basins. Was that going to be posted, I guess, to the website, or I know those will be available at some point, but I didn't know if there was a timing on that.
That's a good question, Aaron. We are in the process of posting them out. I mean, we could theoretically do it in a kind of a more phased manner and just post the reports and then follow that up with the data. But I'm interested in hearing kind of what the group's thoughts are on that, because as I said, the supporting data files are very, very large, and so I just want to make sure that y'all get the information you need in a way that's easily accessible and is efficient for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Well, I guess from BRA standpoint, we'll reach out to you and to coordinate. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Kathy, we have another one. This is from Ken Kramer. He asks, now that the WAMs for the 4 basins have been updated, which other basins would be the staff's priorities for updating if TCEQ were provided with additional funding for updates?
So I think that would just depend on what we were directed to do and what the funding was. Ken said, I don't really know at this time. We definitely have the 4 basins, but there are 3 other basins that were updated by others, the Colorado and the Sulphur, sorry, 2. So there are some other basins that have been updated aside from this process. So I think it would just depend on what kind of direction we got from the legislature to update those.
Okay. Any other questions at this time? All right. Well, Kim, I don't know if you want to have a closing for us.
I don't have much to close with, just except for to thank everybody for joining us today and just encourage y'all, if you've got questions on what you heard today, questions on anything else that's going on in the water rights world, you can reach out and call us. You know, myself, Kathy, Brooke, and Pepe, our office numbers all ring forward to a mobile phone that's on us the majority of the time. So we are easily accessible and available through this format as well, and email. So whatever works for y'all, and definitely grab us at conferences if you're running into us. Thanks a lot, everybody. And we'll hang around for questions if y'all come up with them before you take off.